why is everybody buying these $200 pedals? That's what Simpson wanted me to answer by sending the Plus X for review. I also have an affiliate link with them. You can have an 8% discount with the code RANDOM, and they are also available at my Amazon store. Links in the description, but as always, all opinions are my own. You've probably seen this design somewhere else. If you ever followed sim racing for a long while, these are based out of the original Oising Veld design, and there is a lot of derivative designs out there, including a few ones available at AliExpress. Even my favorite pedals at the moment, and the pedals that will be back at my rig in the near future, are based in something like this, the IMSIM Talentos. But Simpson is one of the biggest Chinese brands using this design. So what makes them 200 and not much more than that? Well, there are a few things. Before going to the review itself, a big thank you to all the members and subscribers for making this possible. Without your help, reviews like this, having sent stuff from the manufacturers, wouldn't be possible. If you want to support the channel, the best way you can do it, press like and subscribe, and why not become a member? Thank you so much. The version that Simpson sent was the base plus X version. There's a few other options that you can spec on top of it, and these pedals start at actually very cheap. This pedal set for the 2-pedal version will start at $199 or around 150 British pounds. But if you spec everything up without the haptic reactors, it will cost you around $255 or 213 pounds. Then if you want to add the haptic reactors, those haptic reactors will cost you $157 or around 100 pounds. This version, as tested, as you see, is roughly $250 or roughly 200 pounds, which honestly, it is quite a steal. But there are some drawbacks. There are a few reasons why this pedal set is inexpensive, all things considered, in sim racing, and one of them is cutting corners, and the other things are basically not splurging in the way it looks or the way it's presented. And that is, for example, the case with the unboxing. The unboxing is incredibly simple. It is just a straight cardboard box. Inside there are some foams with the inserts for the pedals and all of the accessories that come inside. There will be the bolts, the nuts. There will also be some extra elastomers, which is cool to have, and some extra springs as well for your throttle and for your clutch. It's a way to save on cost, and the other way they saved on cost will be also with the nuts and bolts, especially with the nuts. These nuts are not Teflon nuts. In reality, there is no problem whatsoever. They will lock just fine. Let's start with the control box. This is where you connect every single part of the pedal. These RJs are for all of the cables you see on the background. These ones over here, these RJ cables. And these ones over here are for the VAM motors that you would buy separately. And over here, there is the DC input. On the other side, there's the USB connection and one button called upgrade. Over here is where essentially where you install or put some bolt and nut through, or connect this directly to your sim rig by using a bolt here. And over here, if you are having some issues with EMI, these pedals are affected by EMI and they can also create EMI themselves. I've seen some reports of it. There is a grounding wire available in the box. You connect the grounding, one side of the grounding wire here, and then connect to some sort of ground like your sim rig on the other side. Things that I'm going to talk about the throttle pedal also affect the other pedals as well. The first one will be the finishing, the fit and finishing, especially the finishing. It's not the best. These pedals are actually quite sharp, have a very sharp finish, especially at this area. This is where essentially they save some bucks by not using some sort of more abrasive sanding or a longer cycle of sanding, some sort of stone polishing or something like that, and they save a few bucks here and there. This can be quite sharp to the point where the variability between surfaces, which they really depend on which type of pedal you're picking up. Some surfaces are not as polished as some. That means while for me it was okay using this with socks, I could see that some of these parts would not be polished enough for you. And if you have some sort of mishap, you could probably cut your foot. So I would say do not try to use this with socks unless you are able to sand everything, or if you want to risk it. To install, it has these rather standard rails. They should be standard everywhere. It's the same width more or less as the regular Oising belts, and the same width at pretty much everything out there. In terms of Adaptability, you can move up and down the pedal plate, one slot, just undo the nut and the bolt. You can also change the tilt position of the pedal set, very standard stuff. Pedal throw over here, and then also you can do the preload of the spring. You can tighten this up a little more. This will do the preload of the spring. You can also change the spring by undoing this nut over here and then rotating this around. This will come out of the shaft over here. You can take this off, and then you can use the spring that is available over here. This red and the blue are for the clutch, but you know, if you want to risk it, you can try with those ones, but I wouldn't recommend it. This is not a very good hydraulic piston. There are better ones out there, including the ones from Fanatec that are present on their V3s. This is kind of a sticky hydraulic piston, and then at the end of the movement, it kind of sticks at around 95% to 100%. Is not as fast to get that hydraulic fluid out of the chamber, and it gets quite sticky up top. It is not a deal breaker, I would say, but the movement for me is much improved when you disconnect at the back, or remove totally if you want to do something with this, because it can be quite hard to remove this. When you disconnect totally the hydraulic piston, it makes the movement much easier to use and honestly a little more palatable. Overall, it's decent, but I think there are better throttle pedals out there. For all pedal sets out there, the brake pedal is what is going to make or break, pun intended, your pedal set, and I think this brake pedal is actually pretty nice. For some of the same issues in terms of polish of the surfaces, you can move the pedal face up and down, you can adjust the tilt, and you can also adjust the throw of the movement, and you can disconnect the hydraulic piston if you want to. However, for this pedal set, you are using so much more force that the hydraulic piston just basically stabilizes the movement, which is normally the case why you would use an hydraulic on the throttle. And the stickiness doesn't really matter that much, because the elastomer, when compressing and decompressing, just overpowers it. And also you're not really using all of the movement of the hydraulic piston when you are braking. You can adjust the preload of the hydraulic piston if you want to make it a little bit stiffer, and also the preload of the spring. This is actually quite a nice spring, and you also can change the elastomers. There are 3 sets of elastomers: the yellow one, the blue one, and the red one. The red one is the softest, the yellow one the middle one, and the blue one is the toughest. 60, 90, and 140 kilos max each one. To remove all of it, you have to press it back. You will compress the spring, and then you can remove this as a bunch and then put it back. The new settings, the new elastomers. They do not recommend to mix and match the elastomer set, because they say they cannot predict what is going to happen. At the back, this is the load cell. They say it's up to 200 kilo. I cannot squat this much. I'm really sorry. I cannot test if it's 200 kilo or not. This feels like some sort of Maven knockoff, or a Maven itself that was had with a sticker on top. But I didn't have any issues with this load cell. This load cell is incredibly precise. It sticks to the force that you stick to it, and it doesn't move unless you do something to the pedal or moving for more pressure or less pressure. In terms of the price that you are paying for the pedal set, this pedal by itself is almost worth all of it. So I think this is a really nice, well-designed pedal set. You know, it's a very simple design with this 2-tower steel stamp kind of stuff. You see it everywhere. And besides the quality control on the edges, this pedal set, I think it's an absolute great deal. Last one will be the clutch. This is the meh type of pedal that is present. Very basic design. Same pitfalls with the quality control. You can move the pedal faces up and down 1 notch. You can increase or decrease the preload or the stiffness of your clutch pedal. You can increase or decrease the preload of the spring over here, and you can also change the springs by removing this this shaft and change the springs that are available, the blue and the red. And you can also change the preload of the hydraulic piston and the throw of the pedal. So very simple basic stuff. And the same issue that happens with the hydraulic stickiness in the throttle also happens here, but here it's less important because you basically are just kicking it to do some sort of shift or heel and toe and kind of like that, so it's not very, very important. This is a very meh type of pedal, but it actually works. There's nothing to complain about. It's very, very basic, but it's the least important thing. Part of the use of this pedal set will be with the software and having a look at the software. It's an incredibly simple but straightforward software. It kind of reminds me of Simagic's Sim Pro. It gives you all the options that you need, but also has some other stuff for their wheelbases. Apparently there'll be wheelbases in the future, handbrakes, and also some steering wheels. For the pedal set, I would recommend that you do some calibration. Fortunately, my pedal set was actually calibrated by factory. I just needed to connect it. Even without the software, it worked just fine in an iRacing, in Le Mans Ultimate, in Assetto Corsa. With this software, you can do curves, you can add dead zones, and save some profiles for each specific car that you would like. The software is simple, and it works. It is very, very easy to understand. The most important part of these pedals are, of course, using the pedals. The price doesn't mean anything if they are going to suck. But that's not the case at all, though there are a few drawbacks that I need to mention and you'll understand what I'm saying. As you probably are seeing from the B-roll, there is some sort of deflection, but that's not the pedal itself. The pedal itself doesn't have any deflection at all, or it's going to be very minimal. That's actually from the install that I have done on the base plate of my pedal tray. But the pedal tray wasn't really made to attach a pedal set like that, especially one with such a high load cell. But in terms of performance, that did exactly zero because these pedal sets are incredibly precise. The first experience I had with the pedal set while using it was, of course, with the throttle when you go out of the pit box, and it was on a more negative tone, and it's something that keeps plaguing as you use this pedal set. It's not something that is a deal breaker, but you know, these are $200. In some cases, you'll be saying, wow, these are $200. And then you'll be saying sometimes, okay, I understand why, some of the reasons why these are $200. The throttle is actually quite squeaky. It does a squeaky noise. And this is because of the dampening. And also the damper at the end of the travel gets a little bit sticky. You can disconnect, as I mentioned, the damper, and you can remove it if you want to do something like that. But for the rest of the usage, this was actually a really nice pedal set to use. It doesn't really matter what type of the elastomer I use. I really like the red one. It has a good progression. It has a good deflection on it. And the pedal, in all circumstances, that would be in road type of cars or even prototypes or GT3s with the softest or the toughest rubber, is incredibly precise. The brake pedal is able to get all of the small minutiae of the braking to go to the threshold braking and keeping it out of lock, especially if you're using cars without ABS. There is nothing that I can say about this brake pedal, either that in terms of geometry or in terms of load cell, that would be a negative. In reality, this brake pedal is as high quality as any other brake pedal that I've used of this type. I think they have done the right selections of elastomers and also of the spring, because with the trail braking phase of your brakes, it actually has a good compression and decompression stages, and it's very well defined and it moves quite well with all the precision that you want. There's really no jumps in the load cell from odd numbers into whatever numbers. You have always full precision with this, and these pedals cost £200. As for conclusions, you can see that Simpson cut a lot of corners and made the presentation not so good in the other one, so that they would save some of that money and put it towards the design and componentry of this pedal set. At $200 for two pedals, it's actually quite a steal, but of course you have to remember that some of the corner cuts can actually, in one case, actually cut you if you are not careful. Are these pedals worth what they ask for them? In my opinion, I think they do. This brake pedal set specifically, it is actually super nice. The elastomer choice they have done, it's really, really good. They're really well built for the price specifically, and they punch above their weight a lot. I own nicer pedals than this, and I'll be going back to the nicer pedals. But if you are on the budget, this is something that you can pay attention to, because it will give you all the performance that you need at a price that doesn't break the bank. But of course, keep in mind all the caveats that I mentioned. But I want to hear from you, especially with the Simpson owners. leave me in the comments your experiences with this, all the issues that you had, and stuff that you like with them.